Hello, Technology Advisory Committee members. This is my second chance to give you information about similarities and differences between the Chromebook and the Mac. During this presentation, I'm going to try to do it a little slower so you can get some information. Now, the data that we're going to share with you is data that's come from a lot of resources. It's come from teachers and Falls Church, but it's also come from colleagues in other school districts. We've reached out to other school districts that are working with Chromebooks. We've talked to some technical and educators, and so we tried to compile some pros and cons between the to help the device conversation. As many of you had mentioned, that there's a lot of commitment towards the Mac because the teachers are many reasons why. But we wanted to give you our take on the similarities and differences between the Chromebook and the Mac. The first thing we want to talk about, and I'm pretty sure that this is set to rest. I'm not sure if anyone's still thinking that BYOD or bring your own device is the right thing for our Falls Church City Schools. But I just wanted to share with you some information. This is from our George Mason infographic that we've passed out to the faculty here at George Mason, just to make sure they understand what BYOD is and why it's not a great fit for George Mason. One of the first things to think about is equity. We pride ourselves in the personalized learning initiative that equity is a huge focus. We want to make sure that every student has the same device, the same access. And with giving kids the same device with the software they need and all of that, it definitely has bridged the gap between technology at school and at home. With a BYOD program, we are relying on families and parents to send their children to school with a device. Now, some schools handle this differently. Some schools give you a list of devices that are acceptable on our network, and some schools just let you bring in whatever you have. We feel very strongly here in Falls Church that providing every student the same device gives them the access they need and equals the playing field for all our children. The BYOD is hard to plan for as a teacher because you never know if it's going to come to school. You never know what software capabilities it has. And so it's one of those extras that teachers just don't have time to plan for. There are some schools that are reporting that with a BYOD program, there is risk of theft. One thing to keep in mind is that with our personalized learning program, every child at George Mason device is covered under insurance. It also has free technical support. So if your child has an issue with their computer, they can communicate with our IT team directly, go to our student help desk, or talk to me. But the technical support that they receive has no cost to you. Also, if something happens where the computer is damaged, lost, or stolen, it is covered under insurance. And for those of the parents out there that have not paid this insurance fee, it is only $25 for each incident. This $25 is really just for the clerical fee. Your child does not wait until the computer is returned or repaired. Your child receives a computer replacement that day. So no instructional time is lost. In a BYOD program, we are reliant on you as the parent to keep the computer repaired and up to speed. We do not have currently a structure in place where we can give out many loaners to students. So they rely on their computers every day. They need to have a device in their hands every day. Another thing is that with a BYOD program, we cannot issue software titles to your personal device. So many of our students here benefit from the Adobe Suite and other programs that are already installed on the laptops. We do not have permission, and the license agreements do not allow us to distribute this software to your personal device. So your students would have to use alternative ways of accessing this software in a computer lab or a cart model, And so we would have to run a separate computer infrastructure uh, uh, to support all these programs. And the last one, we are working on with your students to remain balanced while they're at school. We're helping your students self-regulate from distractions and prepare themselves for a digital career or learning in college in a digital classroom. We are learning as the years go on what programs are most distracted, and we are able to block those programs, block various websites. We have the system securities and the systems in place to make this device more GM issued device more secure. If your child brings their own device into our network, the only thing we can do is filter the internet. We cannot control the device. We cannot prevent programs from being used in the classroom. And so your device will be less secure and unrestricted when it comes into our school because our technicians can't really provide technical support or security or restrictions on a personal device. Now I want to get to the part where we're talking a little bit about Chromebooks and MacBook Airs, the two ones that are really being discussed in the community right now. There's a lot of similarities between the two devices. The lightweight nature of these two devices is why we don't see a PC or a Windows machine on this list. Window computers or Ultrabooks are right now out of the price range for consideration. If we're looking to save money or maintain, it's not an option. We, of course, want it to be lightweight because our kids' backpacks are pretty stuffed with a lot of great stuff. We don't want to add weight to it with a heavy device. If you notice Google Apps, we have access on both devices, and we are committed to using the Google free suite of apps here in the schools. And you'll notice that they're both durable. However, durable means that over time there is a difference. We get automatic updates with most devices, and most devices come with parental controls. With the MacBook, we have parental controls in the form of the K9 program that we can install on any device and filter websites to another degree more than we're filtering already. And we can also set with our mobile management device system, we can set time limits. So your child's computer goes to sleep or logs out at certain hours of the night. These are all available by request. Now, some of the differences. The Chromebook is internet-based, which means it's not really a laptop. It's just a browser. The MacBook is a full-functioning computer. It has all the power to run and multitask the programs and the internet browsers that are installed. The Chromebook is reliance on more subscription-based cloud resources. Many of the software, the free creativity software we have on the MacBook, iMovie, GarageBand, QuickTime, iBook Author, are all free software that we use here at George Mason daily. To find replacements for that software, we would have to rely on cloud-based subscriptions. And cloud-based subscriptions are expensive. And sometimes the cost increases from year to year. We don't have the finances in place to support a lot of cloud-based subscriptions. So we'd have to really start relying on more of internet resources. Right now, a Chromebook can only print to the cloud print ready printers. The MacBook can use any printer. So any printer at home you can plug in and install the right drivers and print away. The Chromebook is always online, but the Mac Air can do online and offline capabilities. Because the Chromebook is always online, schools that adopt Chromebooks have to make modifications to their infrastructure to support so many devices constantly online. Many of your children here at George Mason use the MacBooks throughout the day, and some of it is online, but a lot of it is offline, for example, using iMovie, GarageBand, or QuickTime, or as something as simple as Microsoft Word. Lack of quality apps from the Google Store. This year is the first year the Chromebooks have access to the Google Play App Store. The Google Play App Store has received a lot of criticisms from educational institutions for the quality of their apps. It would be very difficult for teachers to find apps to replace the software that we have access to. Also, Google third-party apps are not always concerned about your child's safety and privacy. Many of them are not COPPA compliant, and many of them say that students under the age of 18 should not use the apps. The apps that are being developed on the MacBook Air or the Apple Store are being vented through programmers that are approved by Mac. The App Store is getting better and better. It is starting to be rated by Common Sense Media, and a lot of the third-party companies that are developing apps are sharing their privacy policies and keeping students safe by following the COPPA or the Child Protective Act, following the federal it's a mouthful, of federal regulations to keep your child safe. Both devices are durable. However, a Chromebook is replaced every 3 years. We got that information from a lot of schools that are moving forward with Chromebooks. Every 3 years they need to be replaced. That would change the model here at Falls Church. Right now we replace the high school and middle school every 3 years, and then we move the old infrastructure down to the elementary schools for another 3 years. If we move Chromebook, then we're replacing computers in every school every 3 years. Chromebook. You can only use the Chrome browser on the Chromebook, but as many digital literate learners understand that some browsers are better than others for different tasks. For example, in our testing environment here at George Mason, we control all the settings and preferences for the Safari browser. The Safari browser is what we use for the high-stakes SOL testing because we can control it from our mobile management device. We allow students to use Chrome because they have control of some of the settings and they can personalize their experience. Not having this flexibility would be a difficulty for our IT team. Our teachers have been trained to use MacBook Airs. At the George Mason, we've been using MacBook Airs for almost 6 years now, and teachers are becoming more comfortable, and we've invested a lot of time in training. The teachers have not had access to Chromebooks, so it's very unfamiliar. Even though it is only the Chrome browser, the limitations of the Chromebook will be the biggest challenge. Our IT staff has improved the security and management over time. We're learning how to keep your children safe and getting better at it each year. Using our mobile management device, we can access and make sure that nothing's going wrong on your child's computer. We can also begin to restrict apps or make sure that lock screens are on to protect your child's privacy. The IT staff has not been trained on the deployment or the management of a Chromebook. This will take few years to get back up to speed, so we would be taking a step backwards in the IT department. And finally, comparing these two devices is hard because one is not a laptop. One has a low-powered processor, which means it gives you enough processing speed to use the internet. Any higher-end functions like editing movies, which you wouldn't do on the internet anyway, can't be done on a Chromebook based on its processor speed. The MacBook Air is a laptop, so it's built for multitasking, it is high-powered, it is enough to do what our kids need to do every day here at George Mason. The last thing is you can only install the Google Play software or Google Apps on a Chromebook. On a MacBook Air, we can install any of the software that we need. Also, we can install some of the software we've been using for years. We've already made the investment in, and we can continue to use it, like a program called Logger Pro that is critical to our science classes. Hopefully this kind of lets you know where we're coming at when we have conversations about Chromebook versus Mac Air. And hopefully this gives you some information about why our teachers feel so strongly and our IT department feels so strongly with staying with the MacBook Air.